I'm Oliver Gajda, the current chairman and executive director of the Crowdfunding network. When we talk about crowdfunding, we can basically differentiate between four models: donation-based, reward or pre-sales-based, equity, and lending. Donations are typically for NGOs, disaster relief, similar activities, so don't lend themselves for startups or enterprises that much. Reward-based or pre-sales has been used very successfully for startups in developing new products and capturing a market and market interest, so that can be very a driver of innovation. And we have seen very significant impact already in some areas where new markets have been opened up through crowdfunding campaigns. On the equity side, we talk about capital markets, investing in shares in companies. That works fairly well in those legislations that are across Europe that are open to this, especially the UK, but also Germany and now France. In other markets, it's growing a bit slower. Problems can center around legislation from tax to company law, but also when we talk about cross-border transactions, the regulation that is in place doesn't harmonize smaller transactions. It is still a significant part for SME finance or startup finance already, and touches upon areas which business angels and venture capital funds do not address sufficiently. And the last would be lending, in the UK also called peer-to-peer lending. Though usually done for consumer finance, it's also more and more being used for business loans. And there we talk basically about micro loans that also might be given out by microfinance institutions, but here financed through the crowd. Usually a very small market across Europe, with the exception being the UK, but we see the first platforms that also scale in Germany and France and some other countries, but it's still a very young market. The basic hurdles around crowdfunding today are legislative. There's no pan-European regulation that would harmonize or harmonize this market, so we operate under national laws, and they're often under different types of regulation, be it for financial services, for payments, company law, consumer protection. And since the interpretations of these different laws are different in every European member state, or often very different, cross-border transactions become very, very complex. And so we see very few platforms that have attempted on the financial services side to go pan-European. This is a little bit easier on the donation and reward-based side, because here it's either basically a donation or it's a consumer contract. And the aspects of the financial transaction there are dealt by third parties that are then fully regulated. So the European Crowdfunding Network is a Brussels-based international NGO. We are an interest group representing crowdfunding platforms of all types from across Europe, basically in Brussels, but also on national level, where we cooperate with our partners. We count currently more than 50 paying members. We have a network that is several hundred platforms that is willing to talk to us. And of course, we have a strong network into professional services, lawyers, accountants, as well as in the policy side. And our aim is to raise the discussion on crowdfunding, to make this a more public discourse, and then to also professionalize the crowdfunding industry in order to raise transparency and best practices. And this is for 2015 one of our next steps, where we will tackle this, since we've managed, I believe, quite well to raise the public discourse across Europe.